Cosmic Awakening, 1991. Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. By Makāula Nakae. April 25, 1991. Pisac. Episode 15. The Eye of Providence. Often depicted inside a triangle with a single eye, the Eye of Providence, also known as the all-seeing eye, is widely said to symbolize the gaze and presence of an almighty God. This symbol is explained as expressing the belief that God possesses an eye that sees through all things and watches over the entire universe. Historically, the Eye of Providence is also famous as part of Freemasonry and the Great Seal of the United States found on the reverse side of the US $1 bill, where an eye is depicted inside a triangle resting atop a pyramid. Beyond its religious and spiritual significance, the symbolism of the Eye of Providence is frequently associated with conspiracy theories and secret societies. The word providence refers to divine providence, specifically in Christianity, the belief that God governs and guides the entire cosmos. It represents the idea that God's will and plan operate through all events. Beyond that, it also denotes careful foresight and preparation, emphasizing prudent planning and forethought by humans anticipating the future, highlighting wise actions and deliberate planning. Pinpointing the exact origins of when the design of the Eye of Providence first appeared is difficult, because it has surfaced historically across several key periods and locations. Tracing its background chronologically reveals how the Eye of Providence emerged and evolved from antiquity to the modern era. However, while we can trace how historical currents led to the modern interpretation of the Eye of Providence, the ultimate question remains, what on earth is the Eye of Providence itself? That answer is likely not what you expect or understand it to be. The earliest historical precursor to a divine, closely related to the Eye of Providence, appears within the world of ancient Egyptian pharaohs. In ancient Egypt during the 3rd millennium BCE, the Eye of Horus, or Wadjet, was venerated as a single-eyed symbol of divinity. Regarded as a symbol of protection, royal power, health, and healing, the Eye of Horus was frequently painted on tombs and coffins to guard the souls of the dead, and was also utilized as an amulet against evil. While the Eye of Horus shares similarities in meaning with the Eye of Providence, it is not its direct origin. Anu, the supreme god worshipped by ancient Egypt's neighbor, the Mesopotamian civilization, was regarded as a sky god possessing the power to see through all things. Anu's symbol was expressed in the form of stars or discs, symbolizing the power to oversee the earth from the heavens. Within Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the third eye symbolizes spiritual awakening and insight. The symbol of the third eye is painted particularly on the forehead of Lord Shiva, representing the perception of truth and inner knowledge. The ancient Indian sacred texts, known as the Vedas, form the foundation of Hinduism. Describing cosmic creation, deities, rituals, and philosophy, the Vedas also contain concepts analogous to the Eye of Providence and the all-seeing eye. In particular, deities such as Varuna, Surya, and Agni are portrayed as omniscient and omnipresent, serving as watchers over all events. The omniscient power of these deities is emphasized within the Vedas as a vital symbol for maintaining cosmic order and safeguarding justice and truth. While the specific expression Eye of Providence does not appear within the Vedas, concepts of omniscience and divine surveillance are linked to numerous deities. Varuna is an exceptionally vital deity in the Vedas, serving as the guardian of truth and cosmic order, RTA. Portrayed as an omniscient god, he's credited with the power to oversee every action and occurrence. Known as the thousand-eyed god, Varuna's all-seeing eye possesses the power to look through everything and watch over the truth. The Rigveda, the oldest of the Vedas, contains hymns dedicated to various deities concerning the all-seeing omniscient eye. Varuna, the thousand-eyed guardian of heaven and earth, beholds the deeds of all men. The Yajurveda, which records ritual procedures and mantras, similarly presents concepts of omniscient deities. The sun god Surya is depicted as an all-seeing eye, whose light banishes all darkness. Furthermore, other deities are portrayed within the Vedas as omniscient watchers, fulfilling the roles of maintaining cosmic order and upholding justice. Agni, the god of fire, purifies all things and delivers offerings to the gods, serving as an all-seeing presence monitoring through rituals. Surya, as the sun god, illuminates all things day and night, functioning as a cosmic watcher. In traditional Chinese culture, the Eye of Heaven is depicted as symbolizing the heavenly emperor and celestial authority. Heaven is regarded as the supreme entity endowed with omniscient power, and the eye of heaven represents its capacity to see through all things and monitor earthly events. This is grounded in the belief that heaven possesses the power to monitor human actions and earthly occurrences, to uphold justice and order. The mandate of heaven, Xianming, a command originating from heaven, signified that an emperor or ruler was granted legitimacy to govern by the will of heaven. The eye of heaven was believed to watch over that mandate, maintaining justice and order. As long as rulers received the mandate of heaven, their governance was deemed legitimate. However, if injustice or tyranny occurred under the surveillance of the eye of heaven, the bestowed mandate was believed to be revoked and a new ruler chosen. The concept of the eye of heaven also influenced Taoism and Buddhism, wherein symbols of the all-seeing eye and sacred surveillance were utilized, with Buddhism's third eye symbolizing spiritual insight and enlightenment. The third eye in Buddhism is a vital concept symbolizing spiritual insight and enlightenment, carrying a perspective nearly identical to that of the Eye of Providence. Generally depicted as an eye situated in the center of the forehead, it represents a supersensory, spiritual vision and insight transcending ordinary perception, representing the ability to perceive truth and inner essence beyond physical reality. It is also a symbol of awakening and enlightenment. Teachings state that those who attain enlightenment pierce through truth with their third eye, transcending ignorance and illusion. Associated with the sixth chakra in the traditional Indian chakra system, the Ajna chakra, the center governs intuition, insight, and spiritual awakening. Numerous statues of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas depict the third eye, symbolizing the spiritual insight and enlightenment possessed by the enlightened. Religious texts and scriptures of Buddhism contain references to the third eye, portraying it as a symbol of spiritual awakening and enlightenment. Within practices of meditation and contemplation, opening the third eye serves as a key theme aimed at elevating spiritual vision and deepening insight. Meditation focusing on the third eye is considered a means to foster inner stillness, insight, and the capacity to perceive truth. The development of the third eye across various ascetic practices in Buddhism is regarded as part of spiritual growth and awakening encompassing yoga, breathwork, and meditation. The third eye remains a vital concept within contemporary New Age movements and spiritual practices, where practitioners aim to heighten intuition and spiritual insight by opening the third eye. Certain psychologists and scientists study the concept of the third eye in connection with the pineal gland. The pineal gland, a region of the brain involved in light perception and melatonin secretion, is frequently linked to the symbol of the third eye. In Islam, while the omnipotence and omniscience of God, Allah, are emphasized, an eye as a concrete symbol is absent. Because idolatry is strictly prohibited in Islam, God is not represented through specific imagery or symbols. Instead, Allah's omniscience is expressed through the Quran and Islamic doctrine. In ancient Greece during the 5th century BCE, the eye of Helios symbolized the omniscience of the sun god. Furthermore, the historian Herodotus visited Egypt in the 5th century BCE and documented the Giza pyramids. His work, The Histories, contains records of the pyramids' construction methods and scale, making it one of the earliest European accounts of the structures. Similarly, the Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, 1st century BCE, visited Egypt and described the pyramids. His work, Bibliotheca Historica, includes legends regarding pyramid construction and information on their scale. The Eye of Helios is a symbolic concept associated with the ancient Greek sun god Helios, who was venerated as the deity carrying the sun across the heavens each day. Departing from the eastern sea every morning, racing across the sky during the day, and sinking into the western sea, this daily journey was believed to bestow light and warmth upon life on Earth. Helios is frequently depicted racing across the sky aboard a 4-horse chariot, symbolized by the sun itself. The sun is an entity that sees through all things and illuminates everything on Earth. The Eye of Helios, namely, the sun, represents omniscience, embodying the belief that sunlight possesses the power to watch over and observe every event on Earth. The Eye of Helios is discussed frequently in ancient Greek art and literature. For instance, in Homer's Odyssey, Helios is portrayed as an all-seeing entity. The symbolism of the Eye of Helios persisted into later eras, influencing the Eye of Providence as a symbol of omniscience and other concepts of the all-seeing eye across different cultures. The concept of the Eye of Helios influenced subsequent religions and mythologies. During the Roman era, the sun god Sol Invictus was venerated, fulfilling a similar role as a symbol of omniscience. In modern times, the symbolism of the Eye of Helios can still be found in art, literature, and film. The imagery of the sun, God possessing all-seeing power, endures as a potent motif, influencing modern astronomy and science as well. For example, the term heliosphere is utilized to denote the space influenced by the sun. While no explicit symbol of the Eye of Providence existed prior to the Middle Ages, civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and Mesopotamia possessed symbols representing omniscience and all-seeing power. These symbols were tied to specific deities or the sun, carrying meanings of protection, surveillance, and regeneration. Within Jewish thought, no concrete symbol exists akin to what is seen in Christianity or Freemasonry. However, the concepts of divine omniscience and surveillance are deeply rooted in Jewish faith. The idea that God's eye sees through all things and monitors human actions is expressed through biblical teachings and Jewish symbols, with the menorah, Hebrew lettering, and divine light cited as elements symbolizing God's omniscience. The omniscient God is called Ha-El or Elohim, and God, Yahweh, is believed to be omniscient, seeing through and governing all events. This is demonstrated consistently from the book of Genesis through the prophetic books. 2 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 9, "For the eyes of Yahweh range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him." Genesis chapter 28 verse 15 referencing divine protection, Hashaphat. "I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land." While the Eye of Providence does not exist as a concrete symbol, the eye itself is occasionally utilized symbolically. Ancient Jewish amulets and talismans frequently feature depictions of eyes, serving a protective role to ward off evil spirits and calamities. In Christian theology, the Eye of Providence symbolizes God's omnipotence and omniscience, grounded in the belief that God sees through all things and guides all events. However, it holds no direct relationship to Jesus Christ and is not based upon specific biblical episodes or doctrines. While the specific symbol of the Eye of Providence does not appear directly in the Bible, the concept of an eye symbolizing God's omniscience and surveillance is found throughout both the Old and New Testaments. Expressions of the divine eye in the Old Testament include Psalms chapter 33 verse 18, "But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, on those whose hope is in his unfailing love." Proverbs chapter 15 verse 3, "The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good." 2 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 9, "For the eyes of the Lord range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him." Zechariah chapter 4 verse 10, "These seven are the eyes of the Lord, which range throughout the earth." In the New Testament, expressions include Matthew chapter 6 verse 22, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light." Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account." Revelation chapter 5 verse 6, "Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing in the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth." These passages in the Bible emphasize that God sees through all things and monitors every action, making it clear that they form the foundation for the concept of the Eye of Providence. The symbol of the Eye of Providence subsequently began appearing within the Christian world entering the medieval era, around the 12th century. While the origins of Freemasonry emerged during medieval history, between the 10th and 15th centuries, the Eye of Providence and the stonemasons' guilds. The Eye of Providence is incorporated into a masonry pyramid or triangle. It is said that the existence of the Egyptian pyramids became widely known in Europe beginning in the ancient Greek and Roman eras. While direct records and detailed information concerning stonemason guilds prior to ancient Greece are limited, it is clear that stonemasonry techniques and craftsman organizations played a vital role within ancient civilizations. During the early dynastic period of Egypt, c. 2686 BCE, 2181 BCE. Specifically, the 4th dynasty, massive stone structures, including the pyramids of Giza, were constructed. These megalithic buildings were erected by the hands of craftsmen possessing advanced stone masonry skills. The Great Pyramid of Giza, said to have been built by Pharaoh Khufu, consists of approximately 2.3 million limestone blocks, and its precise stacking and design are astonishing. Tens of thousands of laborers were mobilized for the construction of the pyramid, including specialists such as stonemasons, architects, and sculptors who worked under strict organization and regulations. In the Mesopotamian civilization, circa 3500 BCE, 539 BCE, step pyramid temples, known as ziggurats, were constructed. These buildings were erected using sun-dried or fired bricks, requiring advanced engineering and planning for their construction. The ziggurat of Ur, built in the 21st century BCE, is considered a quintessential example of ancient Mesopotamian architecture. In Mesopotamia as well, numerous specialized craftsmen were organized and engaged in the construction of temples and cities, passing down their techniques across generations. The Minoan civilization of Crete, circa 2700 BCE, 1450 BCE, flourished centered on the island of Crete and constructed many magnificent palaces. These palaces featured complex structures and elaborate decorations, built by fully harnessing advanced stone masonry techniques. The Palace of Knossos is a representative architectural work of the Minoan civilization, featuring a vast expanse and a complex labyrinthine layout. Many craftsmen were involved in the palace's construction, with stonemasons, sculptors, and painters working in cooperation. They were organized as a collective possessing advanced techniques and specialized knowledge. Although specific records regarding stonemason guilds or craftsmen organizations prior to ancient Greece are scarce, it is evident that within ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Minoan Crete, stonemasonry was highly developed and craftsmen were organized. In these ancient civilizations, massive structures and religious buildings were erected, underpinned by the skill and organizational strength of specialized stonemasons. These techniques and organizations would later influence and foster the stonemason guilds of Greece and Rome. Ancient Greek stonemason guilds played a vital role in the advancement of architectural and sculptural techniques. These guilds engaged in the construction and creation of temples, theaters, public buildings, and statues, and their craftsmanship left an enduring legacy on subsequent eras. The origins of ancient Greek stonemason guilds can be traced back to the classical period around the 5th century BCE. This era was a time when the Greek city-states, polis, flourished, and grand architectural projects were actively undertaken. Stonemason guilds were structured into 3 tiers. Master masons, skilled craftsmen who sat at the top of the guild and oversaw projects, direction, and design. Journeyman masons, intermediate craftsmen who worked under masters to hone their skills. And apprentice masons, novices working and learning the trade. This framework ensured that the transmission of techniques and the maintenance of quality were carried out systematically. Ancient Greek stonemason guilds were involved in the construction of numerous magnificent temples, such as the Parthenon and the Temple of Zeus. The Parthenon is a Doric temple situated on the Acropolis of Athens, hailed as a masterpiece of Greek architecture. Public buildings such as Greek theaters, stadiums, and agoras, assembly halls, were also erected by stonemason guilds. The ancient theater of Epidaurus in the Argolis region boasts exceptional acoustics and remains in use to this day. Ancient Greek stonemason guilds developed various architectural techniques, including arches, domes, and the Corinthian, Ionic, and Doric orders. These methods heavily influenced later Roman architecture, with ancient stone guilds further refining those techniques. Greek architecture prioritized mathematical symmetry and proportion to ensure the structural beauty and stability of buildings. The geometry of Pythagoras and Euclid played a vital role in Greek architecture, with Greek stonemason guilds utilizing the golden ratio to establish aesthetic proportional relationships. The golden ratio, the golden section, or phi, the golden ratio, denoted by the Greek letter phi, is equal to 1 plus the square root of 5. All divided by 2 has been regarded since antiquity as a harmonious ratio in architecture and art. Standing at approximately 1 on 1.618, mathematically, it is expressed as phi. This ratio is observed throughout nature and the human body, believed to generate harmony and balance. When a straight line is divided into two parts such that the ratio of the total length to the longer segment equals the ratio of the longer segment to the shorter segment, that proportion is the golden ratio. The golden ratio was first mathematically described by Euclides of ancient Greece around 300 BCE in his Elements. He referred to it as extreme and mean ratio and utilized it in geometric compositions. Pythagoras circa 570 to 495 BCE and the Pythagoreans, deeply interested in mathematics and the harmony of the natural world, recognized the golden ratio as an aesthetic proportion and applied it to music and architecture. Architecture has been imbued with beauty and a sense of stability through the incorporation of the golden ratio and the golden section. For instance, the design of the Great Pyramid of Giza is said to incorporate the golden ratio, with the ratio of its base length to its height approximating it. The golden ratio was also employed in the facade and structure of the Parthenon, 447 to 432 BCE, designed by the Greek architect Phidias. The proportions of various parts of the Parthenon closely align with the golden ratio, which was also documented by the Greek mathematician Euclid. The golden ratio was likewise utilized in medieval European Gothic architecture and other religious buildings, specifically employed in the design of cathedrals and churches to pursue aesthetic balance. During the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man demonstrated ideal proportions for architecture and art based on the golden ratio, and the ratio it is said to have been utilized in the Last Supper. The golden ratio was also applied in Renaissance architecture, such as the dome of Florence's Santa Maria del Fiore Cathedral, designed by Filippo Brunelleschi. In modern architecture, Le Corbusier developed the modular, proportional scale system that integrated the golden ratio into designs based on human measurements. The architectural works of Ludwig Mies van der Rohe also deployed the golden ratio in their proportions and layouts. The design of the facade, the most decorative and prominent part of a building, referring to its front or exterior, maintains aesthetic balance through the use of the golden ratio and window placement on front elevations. Incorporating the golden ratio into room proportions and furniture placement creates harmonious spaces. In ornamentation and detail, applying the golden ratio to columns, arches, and decorative patterns accentuates visual beauty. The golden ratio serves as a potent tool for elevating aesthetic value and instilling harmony and balance in architecture, enabling structures from antiquity to the modern day to preserve their enduring beauty. Stonemason guilds engaged not only in architecture but also in the production of its ornamentation and sculpture. In particular, the sculptures carved into temple friezes, metopes, and pediments allow us to witness the advanced craftsmanship of Greek art to this day. The colossal statue of Athena Parthenos enshrined within the Parthenon was crafted by the aforementioned architect Phidias. Stonemason guilds also played a vital role in the Greek economy, as construction projects employed numerous workers and stimulated regional economies. Consequently, Greek stonemasons occupied a high social standing as respected figures. This was because their skills and specialized knowledge were indispensable to urban construction and public works, and their contributions were widely recognized. The Eye of Sol in ancient Rome during the 1st century BCE represents nearly the same conceptual continuum as the Eye of Helios from ancient Greece. The sun god Sol was omniscient and represented the sun itself, an entity rising daily from the eastern sky and setting in the western sky, serving as the source of light on life. Sol possessed an all-seeing eye and monitored earthly events. The origin of the Eye of Sol and the sun god Sol traces back to influences from the Etruscans and Greeks prior to ancient Rome, corresponding to Helios in Greek mythology, whose attributes and myths were reflected in Sol. Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, which emerged during the late Roman Empire, a civilization that heavily inherited ancient Greek culture, was officially adopted as the state patron deity in the 3rd century by Emperor Aurelian, who established the festival of Sol Invictus on December 25th. The festival celebrating Sol Invictus, marking the lengthening of days past the winter solstice, later became intertwined with Christian Christmas. The sun god Sol was frequently depicted as a youthful male figure, crowned with radiant rays, driving a 4-horse solar chariot across the heavens. The symbols of Sol Invictus included the radiant sun and the all-seeing eye. These emblems represented divine power and knowledge and were utilized in the decoration of altars and temples. Strabo, an ancient Roman geographer of the 1st century BCE, also visited Egypt and wrote about the pyramids. His work Geographica contains detailed descriptions of the pyramids. Strabo recorded that the pyramids were constructed as tombs for the kings and pharaohs of ancient Egypt, explaining that these colossal structures were erected to demonstrate the king's post-mortem glory. Strabo also noted his personal impressions upon visiting the pyramids, expressing awe at their sheer scale and construction techniques, alongside observations of how other contemporary travelers and scholars visited the site. He likewise mentioned the Sphinx built near the pyramids, writing that this massive statue stood alongside the pyramids as a great heritage of ancient Egypt. Strabo's understanding of the pyramids represents a straightforward conclusion that anyone might easily conceive. They are composed of massive stone blocks, which were exquisitely cut and stacked, and their construction required a vast mobilization of labor to extract, transport, and stack giant stone blocks. Ramps may have been utilized to transport stone blocks to elevated heights, constructed in stages as blocks were hauled upward. Levers and mechanical advantage may have been employed to lift the stone blocks. The interior of the pyramids features complex passageways and chambers cleverly designed, indicating that the pyramids were engineered not merely as tombs, but for religious and ritualistic purposes. These views form the foundation of current understandings regarding pyramid construction methods and constitute the established orthodox theory. While Strabo wrote about the interior of the pyramids as well, he never actually entered them. His understanding, observations, and imagination regarding the pyramids from the exterior can only be described as a highly superficial perspective. Because he never entered the interior, nor knew how the underground foundations were structured, it is no exaggeration to say that his views and viewpoints were the product of imagination. Ancient Roman stonemason guilds played a vital role in urban construction and infrastructure development. These guilds served as organizations for preserving and advancing architectural techniques and artisan craftsmanship, acting as a crucial pillar supporting both public and private construction projects. The origins of Roman stonemason guilds were influenced by the Etruscans and Greeks, expanding alongside the growth of the Roman Empire. Ancient Rome excelled in engineering and architectural technology, much of which was sustained by stonemason guilds. Like ancient Greece, Roman stonemason guilds possessed a strict hierarchical structure and rules, comprising masters, magistri, journeymen, collegia fellows, and apprentices, discipuli. This ensured that the transmission of techniques and the training of craftsmen were conducted systematically. High standards of architectural craftsmanship were preserved by prioritizing the transmission of knowledge through training programs running from apprenticeship to mastery. Stonemason guilds played a central role in the urban development and infrastructure maintenance of the Roman Empire, taking charge of public buildings, bridges, aqueducts, and roads. Iconic structures such as the Pantheon and the Colosseum were erected through the craftsmanship of stonemason guilds. They developed innovative architectural techniques, including arches, domes, and the use of concrete, which imparted durability and beauty to Roman architecture. Arch and dome structures are hallmarks of Roman engineering, demonstrating the technical prowess of stonemason guilds, with many buildings and infrastructure projects erected by them, such as the Pantheon, the Colosseum, and the Aqua Claudia, surviving in large numbers to this day. These structures remain vital as testimonies to Roman culture and technology. Furthermore, stonemason guilds played a significant role in the Roman economy. Construction projects employed massive workforces and stimulated economic activity. Stonemason guilds became prominent entities in the labor market, establishing standards for craftsman skills and working conditions. Members of stonemason guilds held high social standing and were respected figures. Because their skills and specialized knowledge were indispensable to urban construction and public works, their contributions were widely recognized. Ancient Roman geographers such as Strabo and others visited Egypt, leaving behind written records testifying to the existence of the pyramids, their wondrous nature, and the magnificence of stonemasonry techniques. Through such accounts, the existence of these mysterious pyramids and megalithic structures, defying contemporary comprehension and deserving to be called architecture of the gods, continued to spread. The architectural techniques of ancient Roman stonemason guilds influenced subsequent medieval European stonemason guilds and modern architecture. Later, the pyramid was incorporated as a symbol of Freemasonry, the tradition of stonemasons and stone guild organizations throughout history, as part of the Eye of Providence, a symbol of theosophy in which they believed. Freemasonry traces its roots back to medieval European stonemason guilds, which were craftsmen associations formed to preserve and transmit architectural techniques and professional ethics. Members of the guilds were called Freemasons, free stonemasons, and enjoyed privileges and autonomy. Medieval European stonemason guilds played a crucial role as specialists in architectural technology. These guilds stood at the center of constructing churches, cathedrals, castles, and public buildings, and their techniques and knowledge were highly advanced. The origins of stonemason guilds can be traced back to ancient Rome, and their techniques were preserved even after the collapse of the Roman Empire. During the early Middle Ages, 5th to 10th centuries, stonemasonry developed centered around monasteries and churches, advancing the organization of guilds. Mirroring ancient stone guilds, medieval stonemason guilds were structured into 3 tiers: master, journeyman, and apprentice. Guilds prioritized the transmission of craftsmanship, offering structured training programs from apprentice to skilled artisan to guarantee the continuity of architectural knowledge. The guilds maintained strict rules and ethics, emphasizing the preservation of technique and quality control, which allegedly included secret techniques and shared symbols. Like ancient civilizations, stonemason guilds played a vital role in the advancement of medieval European architecture. The construction of Gothic cathedrals and castles was realized through the advanced skills of stonemasons. In terms of social standing, much like in antiquity, because numerous stonemason guilds engaged in building churches and cathedrals, structures serving as religious centers, the importance of stonemasons was widely acknowledged within local communities. Throughout historical currents, ancient stonemason guilds remained constantly tied to politics and religion due to the necessity, importance, and stone architecture techniques demanded by each evolving ancient civilization, continually erecting and supporting megalithic structures that symbolize the power of politicians and clergy. Their standing within each ancient civilization was lofty, positioning them in close proximity to both politics and religion. Consequently, the high social standing alongside esoteric, spiritual, or hermetic dimensions woven into the stonemason guilds themselves ultimately resulted in Freemasonry. Medieval European stonemason guilds played a vital role in advancing architectural techniques and transmitting skills, contributing to local communities through the construction of churches, cathedrals, and castles. Their craftsmanship and ethics were inherited by modern Freemasonry. The legacy of stonemason guilds can still be observed across numerous buildings and techniques, forming a vital part of medieval European culture and technology. Buildings erected by stonemason guild techniques survive in great numbers throughout Europe today, with prominent examples including Notre Dame de Paris in France and Westminster Abbey in England. The symbolism of the Eye of Providence appeared within the religious art of medieval Europe, roughly between the 12th and 15th centuries. Knowledge of the Egyptian pyramids was transmitted to medieval Europe through contact with the Islamic world, pilgrims, and merchants. In particular, individuals visiting Egypt along pilgrimage routes to Jerusalem beheld the pyramids and conveyed their existence to Europe. Additionally, records from Arabian geographers and travelers reached Europe, augmenting information regarding the pyramids. Amidst this medieval European backdrop, all-seeing eyes began to be depicted in church murals, stained glass, and manuscript illuminations to denote God's omniscience. In particular, an eye depicted inside a triangle was utilized to symbolize the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. During the Renaissance period, 14th to 16th centuries, European scholars and travelers visited Egypt, leaving behind detailed descriptions and sketches of the pyramids. Interest in ancient Egyptian ruins surged during this era, further broadening knowledge concerning the pyramids. The Italian explorer Giovanni Battista Belzoni, 1778 to 1823, conducted internal surveys of the pyramids in Egypt, conveying his findings to Europe and laying the foundations for modern Egyptology. Within the Christian world of the Renaissance, depicting an eye inside a triangle became commonplace to emphasize God's omnipotence. This served as a visual means of expressing the belief that God sees through all things and monitors the actions of all people, forming the archetype of the Eye of Providence. Viewing the historical background thus far, one can understand that the symbol of the Eye of Providence did not originate from a single source, but was shaped by multiple cultural, religious, and historical currents. First, as a foundational premise, there was the recognition of unseen divine power, God's omniscience and all-seeing capability, which came to be perceived as the eye of God. Subsequently, the Christian concept of the Trinity was layered atop this, coming to be represented as a triangle. Encompassing the divine eye within the Trinity triangle, it is reasonable to consider that as the existence of Egypt's stone pyramids became widespread, the triangle came to symbolize masonry pyramids and colossal, superhuman, godlike power. In the early 17th century, the Rosicrucians, Rose-Croix, emerged in Europe. Rosicrucians pursued mystical knowledge and spiritual revelation, aiming for the inner transformation of humanity and union with God. Incorporating alchemy and Kabbalah, Jewish mystical thought, they explored the hidden truths of the universe, adopting the rose and cross as their primary symbols alongside numerous others. Within the Rosicrucian symbol system, the Eye of Providence is grounded in the concept that God sees through all things and monitors all events, emphasizing cosmic order and divine planning and reinforcing his omnipotence. In Rosicrucian doctrine, spiritual knowledge is revealed only to the elect, through whom humanity seeks union with God. In addition to their primary symbols of the rose and cross, the Eye of Providence is frequently utilized. Rosicrucianism shares deep ties with Freemasonry, with many Freemasons incorporating Rosicrucian doctrines, leading to the shared use of the Eye of Providence as part of that heritage. Following that, the Eye of Providence played a significant role in the doctrines and symbols of Theosophy, a religious philosophical movement established in 1875 during the 19th century. Influenced by various religions and philosophies, Theosophy was founded by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, Henry Steele Olcott, and William Quan Judge. Inheriting Rosicrucian thought, Theosophical doctrine integrates Eastern and Western religious philosophy, mysticism, science, and spiritual exploration. The existence of God, a single absolute entity, governs the entire universe and its laws. Human evolution. Humanity is in the process of spiritual evolution, improving itself across multiple lifetimes and ultimately reaching divinity. Hidden knowledge. Esoteric wisdom and hidden knowledge are transmitted by specific chosen individuals, serving to foster spiritual growth. Within Theosophy, the Eye of Providence serves as one of its symbols, representing the all-seeing perspective of God and symbolizing divine omniscience and omnipotence. Theosophical doctrine holds that the entire universe is governed by divine will and knowledge, and this symbol visually expresses that concept. Furthermore, the Eye of Providence is understood as an entity that watches over and guides humanity through the process of spiritual evolution, emphasizing the belief that individual souls are observed by the eye of God. In Theosophy and esoteric wisdom, the Eye of Providence is also a symbol of hidden knowledge and truth. Spiritual seekers aim to elevate themselves through this knowledge and ultimately reach divinity. The Eye of Providence is even included in the official symbol of the Theosophical Society. Ankh, Egyptian symbol of life, symbolizes eternal life. Nautilus shell, symbol of evolution, symbolizes spiritual evolution and growth. Eye of Providence symbolizes divine omniscience, omnipotence, and spiritual guidance. Similarly, the Eye of Providence in Theosophy is endowed with roles as a symbol of divine omniscience and omnipotence, spiritual surveillance and guidance, and hidden knowledge. Then, at the beginning of the 18th century, Freemasonry was born. Freemasonry and the Eye of Providence. From the late 17th to the early 18th century, speculative Mason adapts from actual physical construction activities, developed and is said to form the basis of the organization known as Freemasonry. Europe in the late 17th and early 18th centuries was a period of major social, political, and cultural transformation. Generally known as the Enlightenment, this era spanned the entirety of the 18th century. It was a crucial era marked by the Enlightenment, the scientific revolution, Baroque and Rococo art, political shifts, and economic and social changes. During this period, human knowledge and understanding advanced significantly, laying the foundations of modern society. Reason, science, the pursuit of knowledge, and human freedom and equality were heavily emphasized, with Enlightenment thinkers criticizing traditional authority, superstition, and religious dogma while championing individual rights and freedoms. Prominent thinkers driving these movements included John Locke, Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Immanuel Kant. The rapid advancement of scientific discoveries and theories from the late 16th to the early 18th century brought forth figures like Galileo Galilei, Isaac Newton, and Robert Boyle, whose achievements established the foundations of modern science, including the law of universal gravitation, the development of astronomy, and the foundations of chemistry. The 17th century Baroque era was characterized by dramatic and grandiose styles, with representative structures, including St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and the Palace of Versailles. The Rococo era of the early 18th century succeeded Baroque, featuring light, decorative, and elegant characteristics, exemplified by the Petit Trianon in France. In the late 17th century, the Glorious Revolution of 1688 in England saw King James II abdicate, leaving William III and Mary II as co-rulers. This strengthened parliamentary power and established a constitutional monarchy. The 13 colonies initiated the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, winning independence from Great Britain to give birth to the United States of America. Influenced by Enlightenment thought, this revolution emphasized the ideals of freedom and equality. Following this came the early Industrial Revolution, which began its initial stages in Britain from the mid to late 18th century. Characterized by agricultural improvements, the mechanization of industrial production, and the development of transportation infrastructure, the expansion of trade and commerce fostered economic development and urbanization across Europe. Amidst these developments, Freemasonry began to be officially organized in the late 17th to early 18th centuries. In the late 17th century, non-professional members who were not actual stonemasons began joining guilds. These members aimed to pursue philosophical and ethical inquiries, shifting the nature of Freemasonry from practical to speculative. The establishment of Freemasonry occurred right in the middle of the Enlightenment in 1717, when the Grand Lodge of England was founded in London, evolving into an organization emphasizing philosophical and ethical exploration while inheriting the traditions and symbols of stonemason guilds. Reflecting Enlightenment thought, it emphasizes reason, knowledge, and ethical behavior. Freemasonry believes in an omnipotent entity known as the Great Architect of the Universe, holding the conviction that this entity oversees and guides all actions. Freemasonry incorporates many symbols and rituals from stonemason guilds. Architectural tools such as compasses, squares, and pillars are utilized as symbols indicating God's omniscience and omnipotence, and its doctrine aims at the elevation of ethics and morality. The Eye of Providence, one of these symbols, serves as a token reminding members to constantly monitor themselves to ensure morally righteous behavior, requiring members to reflect upon their actions and maintain high moral standards. Furthermore, the Eye of Providence symbolizes the pursuit of truth and knowledge. As an organization dedicated to pursuing knowledge and revelation, Freemasonry utilizes this symbol to encourage that quest. The all-seeing eye signifies that truth and knowledge are not concealed, but are revealed to those who seek them. The officially accepted founding year for the origins and establishment of Freemasonry is 1717, when 4 lodges in London gathered to establish the Grand Lodge of England, later referred to as the Premier Grand Lodge of England. Following the establishment of the Grand Lodge, Freemasonry spread rapidly across Europe, America, and the New World during the early to mid-18th century. Independent Grand Lodges were established in various countries, growing into an international organization. Particularly in the United States, numerous prominent figures joined the Freemasons, and their influence continued to grow immensely. The Eye of Providence was officially adopted in 1782 as part of the Great Seal of the United States, a nation founded after breaking away from British colonial rule. This symbol features an eye inside a triangle placed atop a pyramid, signifying that an omnipotent God watches over and guides the new nation. This symbol is also printed on the reverse side of the US $1 bill. By this point, Freemasonry held a powerful influence over the founding of the United States. Expanding into the new nation of America, Freemasonry constructed numerous stone structures in major cities due to its political standing and religious connections. Many historic Masonic buildings exist across America, each carrying unique designs and cultural significance. These buildings embody Masonic thought on symbolism, forming an important part of architectural and cultural history. While Freemasonry did not directly construct buildings for American politics, numerous architectural projects exist where Masonic members were deeply involved in designing and building key structures and monuments within the American political sphere. Because many Freemasons were involved in the American independence movement on politics, their influence is reflected in numerous symbolic buildings and monuments. Their impact appears in the design and symbolism of American architecture, reflecting Masonic principles and ideas. Freemasonry has played a vital role in American independence, nation building, and political and architectural culture. Among the three major buildings in Washington, D.C. associated with Freemasonry, the White House is chief among them. As the official residence of the President of the United States, numerous Freemasons were involved in its design and construction, most notably James Hoban, the architect responsible for its design, who was a Freemason. The United States Capitol, the home of the U.S. Congress, had its cornerstone laid in 1793 by George Washington, who was a Freemason. Masonic symbols and principles are woven into the design and construction of the building. The Washington Monument, built to honor George Washington, takes the form of an obelisk, a classic Masonic symbol. Masonic rituals were performed during the placement of its cornerstone. Freemasonry is known for performing cornerstone laying ceremonies. This ritual, which imparts a divine blessing upon a building's construction, was carried out during the building of many public structures and monuments. The George Washington Masonic National Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia, built to honor George Washington as a Freemason, incorporates numerous Masonic symbols into its grand architecture. The Philadelphia Masonic Temple, completed in 1873 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is a magnificent Gothic Revival structure, richly adorned with Masonic symbols and decorations, housing luxurious lodge rooms, a library, and a museum inside. The Boston Masonic Building, completed in 1890 in Boston, Massachusetts, is a historic Boston landmark, serving as a hub for Masonic activities. Featuring a neoclassical design, its interior is equipped with meeting rooms, a hall, and a museum. A building constructed directly by Freemasonry is the Masonic Hall in New York City, completed in 1913 in downtown New York. Designed in a magnificent Beaux Arts style, it houses numerous lodge rooms, a museum, and art galleries inside. The Los Angeles Scottish Rite Cathedral, Los Angeles Masonic Temple, completed in 1923 in Los Angeles, California, is a Spanish colonial revival building noted for its exterior beauty and lavish interior decoration, and is currently utilized as an event space as well. The Detroit Masonic Temple, completed in 1926 in Detroit, Michigan, is grand in scale and regarded as the largest Masonic building in the world, housing numerous multipurpose facilities inside, including lodge rooms, an auditorium, banquet halls, and a theater. The George Washington Masonic National Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia, completed in 1932, built to honor America's first president, George Washington, is a grand structure incorporating many Masonic symbols. Featuring a Greek temple-inspired design, its interior houses a museum, library, and meeting rooms. Outside the United States, Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, constructed in the 15th century, is renowned for its Masonic symbols and carvings, particularly displaying the Star of David and Templar symbols, and is considered deeply connected to Freemasonry. The Grand Lodge of Scotland, established in 1736 in Edinburgh, Scotland, serves as the headquarters of Scottish Freemasonry, featuring a neoclassical design and Masonic symbols placed throughout. The United Grand Lodge of England, established in 1775 in London, England, is the headquarters of Freemasonry and a central entity for Freemasons worldwide. Featuring grand Art Deco architecture, Masonic symbols and art can be observed throughout. Masonic architecture primarily shares three commonalities. Use of symbols such as the compass and square, pyramids, and the Eye of Providence appear frequently. Precision of design, Masonic buildings utilize extremely precise and advanced engineering in their design and construction. Ritual spaces. Many buildings feature dedicated spaces designed for Masonic rituals and meetings. It is clear that throughout the historical currents of stone guilds and stone masonry, the Eye of Providence has been deified as one of the key symbols. How on earth did such a symbol come to appear during a stay in the Sacred Valley and Machu Picchu of the Inca Empire? connecting the Inca Empire, which seemingly shares no relation, with stone guilds, stone masonry, and the Eye of Providence is undoubtedly anchored by one thing: megalithic architectural techniques and ancient stonework technology. The architecture of ancient civilizations that vanished long ago, such as ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, and the Incas, was constructed by fully harnessing megalithic stones. Much of it falls into a category unattainable by modern architectural technology. During a workshop, Ja-Zeawa stated that the first emperor of the Inca Empire descended from the starry world and rebestowed upon humanity the technology of the Oz era that had existed in antiquity. Let us return to the subject of the Eye of Providence that appeared during the tour. One of the mysterious visions that suddenly began appearing during Ja-Zeawa's workshop the previous day was the Golden Pyramid. The very next day, the Eye of Providence appeared as a golden pyramid marked with a single eye. With the knowledge available in 1991, I knew little more than that it was a mysterious design printed on the back of the US dollar bill and somehow connected to the third eye. Looking back, this too is a bizarre story. The original Eye of Providence was the all-seeing eye of God, representing divine omniscience, yet it merged with the pyramid to become mystified. That alien-looking imagery combining a pyramid and a single eye, tied to a mystical realm or secret societies, tended in general society to be directly associated with the third eye. Around 1991, unlike the present day in 2024, there were no mobile phones, devices, or internet. Researching something in depth meant going to the library to search through reference materials. Even when I wrote this travelogue after returning home, I had no intention of investigating the Eye of Providence any deeper to understand it. That was simply because it was so incomprehensible, because I assumed that's just what it was, or because I hadn't reached a deeper realization. Due to the endless succession of multifaceted spiritual or paranormal experiences, I couldn't penetrate into the deeper meanings, significance, or secrets hidden behind the surface layer that remained etched in my mind. The Eye of Providence shown to me during my stay in Peru's Sacred Valley and Machu Picchu reappeared much later, during the latter half of my life after moving to Honolulu, Hawaii. The Eye of Providence I witnessed on the night of Alhambra 3 in Urubamba in 1991. A golden pyramid plus a single eye plus a pupil spinning in circles plus complete with eyelashes. This mysterious and unfathomable vision began to be unraveled over a decade later, transcending standard frameworks of imagery, within a world, a reality, I could neither anticipate, expect, nor imagine. What on earth is the Eye of Providence? Is it the all-seeing eye of God within the Christian world? Is it a symbol of mystery within the world of Freemasonry and secret societies? Is it the pinnacle of mystical power representing omnipotent force or a pedestal? Or is it something entirely different, something far beyond the realm of imagination, far removed from ordinary understanding? To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the Archive Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute hit of real-life experiences, perfect for your daily plunge into consciousness exploration. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.